Hi everyone, welcome to Active Self-Protection Extra, here again with criminal defense attorney and expert in use of force, Tim Forshee. And from Forshee Law, go check him out. Good stuff, especially if you're here in Arizona. For golly sakes, this guy should be your attorney. Tim has not only done some family law work for my wonderful family, but did my NFA trust and those kinds of things. So if you need an NFA trust, he's your guy. So listen, I want to talk today. We had a video on the channel, a dude who moronically had a negligent discharge in his pocket. I want to talk about the legal parts of that. And I actually have some inside baseball for you on it.
To win the fight after the fight, you need help. After a use of force, I trust Firearms Legal Protection to help me win the fight for the rest of my life. From their 24/7 attorney-answered hotline to coverage for the use of all legal tools, Firearms Legal Protection has you covered. Get a discount by signing up at the link below.
So funny enough, we posted that video, and one of the things I said is I found no news story on this.
You didn't know where it was.
I didn't even know where it was. Like I looked, and my Google foo is strong. Okay, so like I have a black belt in Google foo, and I couldn't find it, and I'm like, what the heck, man? Well, one of the employees that was in the video commented
no kidding.
on the channel. He's like, oh, haha, that was at my restaurant. I'm the tall guy in the back.
Oh, wow.
And he actually sent us a couple of pictures of the blood on the floor.
I was going to say, I was wondering.
So first of all, the guy was a DoorDasher.
Okay.
So he's picking up an order for DoorDash.
All right.
And secondly, he did shoot himself, apparently went and delivered the pizza and then took himself to the hospital.
Wow.
I'm like, man, that's dedication to your job.
Yeah, no doubt, right?
But obviously, I talked in the video, go watch it. I talked in the video about the inanity of having a negligent discharge and futzing with your gun. Right?
I think you said fiddle farting.
Fiddle farting, yes.
Because my dad used to say that, and I actually laughed when I heard you say that. So I love that.
Fiddle farting around, as it were. You can insert a different F word after fiddle if you are saltier. But obviously, from a practical perspective, and now, of course, a tactical perspective, you now have an optional bullet wound.
Right.
Yay. But now, from a legal perspective, what's at stake here?
Lots. One thing that a lot of people don't understand, and this is going to vary widely by state jurisdiction. So I'm licensed in 2 other states, but I really only practice in Arizona, so I'm familiar with Arizona statutes. In Arizona, he committed at least 3 felonies.
Wow.
So it's a Class 6 designated felony.
Designated.
And it is a dangerous felony in the state of Arizona to discharge a firearm in the city limits, period. Unless you are A, fighting for a human life, or B, at a licensed facility. All right? The foyer of a sandwich shop is not going to count. So just to have any kind of a discharge, unless it's an intentional discharge to save a human life or at a range, is a Class 6 dangerous felony in the state of Arizona. Now, and a lot of people don't appreciate the word dangerous. That's not my opinion. That's a legal statutory definition. And it means several things in Arizona, but key among them in Arizona is that you can never, ever have that felony set aside.
Ever.
So he will die a convicted felon. He will never legally touch a gun or a round of ammo. He'll have problems getting a passport. He'll have problems voting. He'll have problems traveling, getting a job, getting into a school.
Renting an apartment or a house?
Everything, yeah. I mean, his life is really going to be hampered for the rest of his life if he's convicted of a Class 6 dangerous felony. Also, endangerment. There were other people present. That round could have come off that tile and hit anybody in the eye and taken an eye out, or worse, as you well know. That's endangerment. That is also a Class 6 dangerous felony. And lastly, disorderly conduct with a firearm is a Class 6 felony. It's usually not designated dangerous, but that's another Class 6 felony. So, and in Arizona, a Class 6 felony is the lowest category of felony, but guess what? That's like being the lowest category of pregnant.
Right. Yeah, it's a
felony. So,
still a felony.
So yeah, really bad deal. And then when he goes to get treated at the hospital, of course, there's a law that the hospital folks have to report that to law enforcement. So there ain't no way this is going to be found out. I mean, clearly, if he's a DoorDasher guy, it's very easy to figure out, who he was. They can obviously do a DNA test on the blood on the floor. I mean, he's getting caught. So what state was that in? Did you?
It was in North Carolina.
Okay. All right.
So I'm not sure how that goes, but so every state could be a little bit different. And now we talked in a previous video about a prosecutor and if they want to hammer people to the fullest extent of the law. A prosecutor could look at that and go, the bullet wound is punishment enough.
I think the guy could, the guy lost his left kneecap. I think he's learned his lesson. And I think maybe a wise prosecutor might do that. The one thing that I think makes me a little bit more concerned about it is it didn't happen in his bedroom when he was getting dressed. It didn't happen out back. It happened literally downrange, 3 or 4 people working right there.
Right.
That's endangerment.
That's endangering
his idiocy endangered other people. So I might have a little bit shorter of a fuse on him than if it had happened in his own living room.
I do have a friend who put a round in his left hand and right here, trying to unchamber a gun after clearing his backyard. here in town.
Thank God we had those front forward cocking serrations on that thing.
Yeah, no kidding, right? So he did it all through the meaty bits here, took himself to the emergency room right down the street from his house. And he sent me a picture, from the ER. I'm like, hey, John, I did this to myself. And I was like, bro, hang in there. The cops are on the way.
Yeah.
And they actually didn't. They didn't report it.
All right, good.
Which I was like, okay, good.
And every once in a while, as we were talking earlier, human nature prevails.
Right, right.
Good, smart, reasonable people do the right things.
And I do know somebody here in Arizona who had a negligent discharge. She was dry firing or trying to dry fire, very loud dry fire in her RV. And here in Arizona, it went out and across into other property. And she was charged with a Class 6 felony. Was able eventually to plead that down to a misdemeanor.
Yeah, my success rate's pretty good, unless somebody got injured, of getting it down to a 6 undesignated. And then after your probation period is 50% over, we can get it knocked down to a misdemeanor.
Right.
And that's, again, nobody's hurt. It wasn't a gross, flagrant, really just like reckless instead of negligent type of a thing.
Right.
Then that's pretty obvious we can do that. Now, if you're celebrating New Year and shooting rounds off into the air in the
Now
backyard,
Shannon's law
you're going
in.
down. Yeah,
Yeah,
going
you're
down
in
for that.
trouble.
And you should. That's
And you should.
insane.
That's kind of negligence and recklessness there.
Exactly.
That's not good. So listen, when we talk on the big channel about firearm safety and on the proper use of a good holster, of not fiddle farting around with your gun.
To me, that's the lesson here. Is this guy? You said you didn't know. Neither do I. But I think you and I both would bet a lot of money that was a semi-automatic pistol.
And
380 small 9, something like that, and no holster, obviously, round chambered, and he, just stuck his finger in there and decided to pull it out. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, maybe he just had a complete brain fart and decided he was going to dry fire his pistol in his own pocket. I don't know, but wow.
Trigger check it.
Yeah, I mean, for crying out loud, why in the hell do you not have that in a holster in your pocket, as you well stated? Yeah,
and listen, I carry a gun every day, and I carry it in a holster that completely covers the trigger guard.
And you're an idiot if you don't.
And why? The pocket carry is a separate issue, and it can be quite effective and just fine with a holster that completely covers the trigger guard. And then don't futz with it, because not only has this guy got the bullet hole to deal with, and listen, I know somebody that streaked a bullet through their leg at the range, and the recovery from that was like 18 months.
I wonder if it's the same guy we're talking about. We'll talk later and compare notes. But
but I know guys that have done that at the range and didn't get charged criminally because he was at the range and just had a negligent accident. But dude, 18 months of recovery. Then if you did something stupid and now you've got the legal aftermath to deal with, all for an event that was non-mandatory.
And now you've got your medical bills, the crippling injury, and another
time off work,
another $30,000 to $100,000 in medical or in lawyer fees tacked on top of that.
So
wear a holster in your pocket.
Wear a holster in your pocket, would you? And listen, this is advice coming from a guy to his own detriment, because you make mortgage payments on people doing stupid stuff.
I kind of like when somebody's really stupid, nobody gets hurt. It's like, you're not going to need your house for a few years, so you can pay for mine for a few years. That doesn't bother me so much. But yeah, when there's anguish and death and stuff like that involved, no, I'd much rather not have the work. Let's make sure these things don't happen. Yeah.
So take his advice, would you? Tim, really appreciate you.
Absolutely, always.